Okay, thank you so much for being here. This will be the third update that we're providing on the Catherine Aguas Vivas murder case, kidnapping case. And what's incredibly important is that we continue to advise the public as timely as we can as this case evolves. Over the past week, many of the experts that the news channels have brought in to talk about complicated and sophisticated cases like this have been absolutely correct. Over the past week, our detectives have been working with our judiciary, subpoenaing records from phones, other pieces of evidence, video evidence from crime scenes, and we're still waiting for a lot of that information to come back. We knew that initially Catherine had been traveling north from Homestead. I think the initial report that we had relayed to you that her husband, Miguel, had provided information to our detectives initially that she was coming up to visit family members. We said at the time we did not know of any family members that were located in the area. We've since located at least 2 family members, but neither one of them were expecting a visit from Catherine at the time. When she was on her way traveling up here, probably around 4 p.m. in the afternoon, when she was probably in the area of downtown Orlando on I-4, there was likely a communication, a phone call that occurred through a FaceTime communication. We had reported that the husband, Miguel, had provided his phone and was cooperative, but we thought that there was a lot of details that he was leaving out, is what I said at the last news conference. Her brother, Louis, has also been providing information and also gave his telephone up voluntarily for forensic examination and actually was conducting, by his words, his own independent investigation. He did not contact law enforcement to do that, but he reached out from a computer that was connected to an iPhone through an iCloud account and found a contact that looked like it was the last person that Catherine had spoken with. And then, by his report, he called that person and he said he did not know who that person was. He screenshotted an image of the person that he called. We have later identified that person. I'm going to call him Giovanni for now. There's going to be a lot of names here, but I'm going to call him Giovanni. We'll release his full name at the conclusion of this press conference. He takes a still photo, does not know who the person is, and sends it to our detectives. The forensic examination of his phone shows a greater picture of not only the person that he sent us the photograph of, but he was actually in FaceTime. So it's a FaceTime photograph of Louis talking with this person who we now know to be Giovanni. We identified Giovanni by taking the photograph that is contained in the image that is released, running it through a database called Faces that's run in Pinellas County by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and it matches with 98.6% a 2019 arrest in Orange County, a booking image that identifies the person as Giovanni. Giovanni and his girlfriend, will use her last name for this, as Soto. They reside in Castleberry. As detectives are awaiting a lot of the investigative reports to come back on the phone tolls, photographs, 417 cameras, all of these things, we ultimately, through surveillance, established probable cause to conduct a search warrant of the home in Castleberry where Giovanni and his girlfriend Soto live. We conduct the search warrant after Giovanni and Soto leave the residence. We go inside and ultimately find fentanyl, a gun, the gun not a 10 millimeter, and likely not related to this particular crime. And ultimately, Giovanni is facing charges for that. While we're conducting the search warrant, we get contacted by our federal partners at HSI that Soto, the girlfriend of Giovanni, and an occupant of the house in Castleberry that we're executing a search warrant on takes and accepts delivery of 3 kilos of cocaine after it was mailed in through the mail. United States Postal Service intercepted that. A delivery was made in Osceola County, where Soto collects that delivery. She is arrested, facing federal charges, and currently incarcerated in Osceola County under a federal hold looking at that. Giovanni is facing Seminole County charges of trafficking fentanyl, and then we will release specific details and ask for the public's assistance to help us locate him. We've got his photo. We're going to put a photo up on the screen later in this news conference. Going back to the vehicle, I said that the green Acura was incredibly unique. There were 3 in the state. 2 were salvaged. There was only 1 that was out there, but there was no license plate on the Acura. In a previous news conference, I said it was legitimately owned by a family in Castleberry. They sold it to a dealership or traded it at a dealership. It went to an auto auction and then ultimately ended up in a buy here, pay here that does a lot of their marketing and sales on Facebook Marketplace. When they post that on Facebook Marketplace, a person with a profile name of Jordan LaTroy reaches out, does not speak English, and then ultimately shows up at the car dealership to purchase that green Acura. The profile photograph on the Facebook profile that's used to communicate with the buy here, pay here dealership, we'll put an image up on the screen here of that profile picture. Back 1 slide. And you can see it appears that the profile picture taken in January is somebody wearing exactly the same clothes, or what appears to be exactly the same clothes as our shooter. A backtrack of a phone number that is given with the purchase of the green Acura, and I remember I had said in the previous news conference that the purchaser never came back to finalize the deal, is why there was no tag ever registered to the vehicle. A phone number that was used in that communication links back through an Orange County Sheriff's Office burglary report of somebody with the name of Jordanish Torres Garcia. We'll put his photograph up there. Jordanish Torres Garcia. Again, the name used in that profile is Jordan LaTroy. The phone number that he uses links back to his legitimate legal name, Jordanish Torres Garcia, or as he goes by Jordan, 28 years old. He had an active felony warrant for weapons possession, and with the assistance of the U.S. Marshals, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, we now have him in custody here at the Sheriff's Office. We arrested him in Orange County as he was walking in to a business on Orange Avenue, south of I think it's Oak Ridge, a couple miles south of Oak Ridge. And this photograph is a photograph that was taken at the time of the arrest just after noon today. Again, he is here at our office being interviewed for his connection in this crime. Now, back to the comparison of photographs, please. We can go back to that. I'm identifying him as a person of interest because when it comes to legal cases, that's probably the safest thing to call him. But his phone number is matching the phone number that was given with the person who purchased the green Acura. The profile that is connected to him, the image on the right, or in front of what looks like a location, a tourist location in Orlando, is the profile image that he has had up there since January, and then, of course, the photograph of the crime scene of what he's wearing looks to me like it's identical, right? So I don't know how strong you can emphasize a person of interest. He's not going to be released. He has federal charges that he's going to be held on, and this investigation will continue. All of this is without yet getting the tolls and the records that we have subpoenaed out there. We still don't know yet who the other occupant in the green Acura is. We'll continue to work that angle of the investigation, but again, this is great police work, great investigative follow-up, a collaboration between the FBI, the DEA, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, HSI, and our media partners who have been doing an outstanding job keeping this on the forefront of everyone's attention, front and center of what's going on. The communication that Lewis has provided us was less than forthcoming. Still, Lewis and Miguel being the husband, Lewis being the brother, are not suspects. We're not charging them at this time. But there again, Lewis's communication with us was that he talked to this person on the phone, which we now know to be Giovanni. He tells us, Lewis tells us, that Giovanni says that Catherine was up here to deliver money and other stuff for a friend. Now, again, I'm not going to speculate, but he says to us she was up here to deliver money and other stuff for a friend. And again, person of interest, Jordan Torres Garcia, is in custody here at the sheriff's office, is being interviewed right now by detectives. The other person of interest we're looking for is Giovanni. We'll release Giovanni's full information, and we will have media packets that kind of summarize as much as we can. Again, incredibly complicated investigation that has twists and turns, but in just about a week, I think that there's great progress in this investigation without getting a lot of the court documents and records back yet. When those records come back, I think it's going to be able to put a lot of the pieces of the puzzle that are still outstanding together. So with that, again, this is an ongoing investigation. I will try to answer as many questions as I can possibly answer.
Sheriff, you said before that Catherine was targeted in this. Have you established a connection between Catherine and Jordan and why he targeted her?
The direct connection between Jordan and Catherine has not yet been established. I think that we have established a clear connection between Catherine's brother and Giovanni, and we have not made the connection yet with Jordan as far as this. So to answer the question of why, if this is our shooter, why he would target her, I can't answer that question yet.
And similarly, between Jordan and the tow truck driver that was shot the night before.
Yes. Those connections will largely be based on the evidence that we get back from phones and records and computer records and documents. But again, no further information on the connection with the tow truck driver at this time with this.
What about Giovanni and Jordanish? No connection between them either?
Not that we have right now.
Does Jordan have any known gang or otherwise connections?
Well, listen, he's wanted for gun charges out of Puerto Rico, right? And I think that although there's not a whole lot documented other than that, it's fair to say he's got a lot of connections that are probably illicit and illegal. But we'll get that record back. I mean, we didn't even know where he was until noon today. So now that we have him, it'll be based upon what he says in this interview. But he's a bad guy. There's no doubt about it.
Do you have any idea how long they've been operating in Florida?
Well, the only thing that we know for sure is the photograph in the face or the alias Facebook account was taken in January. There is some criminal history in 2024 for a burglary We're looking to see kind of where that was out of. I think it was out of Orange County, where he has a connection there. So at least the past 4 months here. But the in-depth breakdown of this, I don't know at this time, because all of this is fresh information coming out right now.
Do we know how the tow truck driver fits into this investigation? Do we know if he was also linked in any way to the suspects?
So we know that the tow truck driver is connected with this group, right? We have the 10 millimeter casings. We have some evidence that was collected by the Orange County Sheriff's Office there. They're taking primary focus on that investigation. We know that the green Acura was seen at that location. So there is clearly a connection here. But the scope of this update has no new updates with the tow truck driver since the last time I provided an update, I think a week ago today. Or actually on Monday is the last one.
You mentioned Catherine's brother was doing some sort of, or whoever the relative was, doing some sort of independent investigation. Is there any understanding of what sort of resources he might have at his disposal?
So what it appears, first of all, if your sister is gone missing or believed to be dead, and you're not working with the police on the investigation, you're doing your own independent, they call that a clue, right? It is incredibly out of the ordinary behavior. But what we think he was doing is tapping into her social media accounts, probably on a computer that was sharing the same iCloud account, where he could see any FaceTime calls or any communication she may have had. He looks at that, provides information on that, but screenshots a portion of the screen that shows an image of likely the last person who she spoke to, which is Giovanni. We forensically examine Lewis's phone after he gives it to us, and it's a larger picture where he's actually engaged in a screen time conversation. Typically, they'll have the big picture of who you're talking to, and in a small corner, there's a box where it can show. He's talking to Giovanni. He says that Giovanni tells him that she was up here to deliver money and other stuff for a friend. And again, he's been cooperating. He's not a suspect in this crime, but his independent investigation initially did not involve police that we're aware of until we reached out, he contacted us, and we started having some of those conversations. Then he's been sharing information to the extent of what he's comfortable with.
Have you been able to figure out how many times Catherine has traveled from Homestead to the Central Florida area, in the past few months? Was this some sort of drug meal situation? Are you able to tell us?
So the question about the drug meal situation would be purely speculation on her involvement at this time. And we don't have any prior record of her ever being in Seminole County prior to being a victim of this crime. And I think that a lot of those questions will be answered when we can obtain records from various phones and various devices to be able to see exactly who she was calling, what the communication was, what those cameras on interstates will tell us about the unique characteristics of the vehicle that she was driving in. So to answer your question, as far as we know now, at this part of the investigation, we don't know of any other time that she's ever been in Seminole County other than this particular. That absolutely may change when we get evidence in.
On that note, do you know how they were able to track her down at either the gas station or right after, whenever they caught up to her?
Obviously, they knew exactly who was in that car. This was a targeted event. How long they followed her, how they tracked her down is still something that we're investigating right now. We don't know how far, how long, the methods that they would use, but with the success and the progress of this investigation, I'm sure we'll know those answers pretty quickly. But right now, at this point, we don't know.
Chief, is there any update about the involvement of the Orange County deputy in this situation?
The Orange County deputy situation, I think, is done from our perspective. We'll continue to look at his phone and computer to see if there's any pattern of doing this. But again, we charged him. We think that the charges are appropriate. We know that he's out on bond right now, but there's been no new updates in that case since Monday when I briefed you last.
Do you think the brother could become a target of whoever targeted his sister, and should he be seeking protection?
Well, I don't want to anticipate who's going to be a target. I know that there's some bad players and bad actors that are doing incredibly dangerous things with this. So I encourage anybody who feels like that they may be in harm's way to come to us for some level of protection. Tell us what you know. Contact Crime Line if you feel less comfortable coming to the police. So that's where we're at. So let me just kind of recap, because I know people will come in halfway through this, and some may not have heard the previous press conferences, but this is the third press conference. Investigative follow-up. We know that when our victim, Catherine, was traveling to Seminole County, she was on the phone on a FaceTime type of call with a person now identified as Giovanni. Giovanni was identified through the use of technology to a faces imaging software program that basically looks at every booking image that has occurred and compares it to that. It matched at a 96.8% to a 2019 booking photo at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Giovanni lives at a location with his girlfriend, Soto, in Castleberry. We attained a search warrant after establishing probable cause, executed that search warrant, found trafficking amounts of fentanyl and one gun not believed related to this particular crime or the Orange County crime. At the same time that we were executing the search warrant, Soto accepted delivery with a controlled delivery from HSI after 3 kilos of cocaine was sent through the mail, sent to a location in Osceola County, and she went there and picked that up and was ultimately arrested for doing that. They're there. We're asking for the public's help and assistance with locating Giovanni. His name, his date of birth, and his photograph are on the screen right there. He is on the run. We want to know where he's at, and we want to bring him into custody. On the car side, the car was sold and never properly licensed with a license plate at a buy here, pay here dealership. A person who does not speak English walks in. He's with another person who is better with English, and they communicate the sale. He identifies himself during that encounter and leading up to that encounter with a Facebook profile that has an image of him appearing to wear the exact same thing that was seen on the video that was captured of the kidnapping that we've witnessed time and time again. Exact same clothing. His name that he's used is Jordan LaTroy. He gives a phone number. The phone number matches a database back in Orange County in a burglary case, and the phone number comes back to a legitimate name, Jordanish Torres Garcia. And even the alias has some version of his legitimate name in that. He was arrested today afternoon on a federal violation of probation warrant for a gun charge, not for this case. We're listing him as a person of interest, as strong as you can get as a person of interest, and I'm sure that as evidence comes in, we will update what his status is and what we're actually calling him. So that's the update for today. I want to again thank our partners, both with the media, the local, state, and federal, and specifically thank the detectives of the Seminole County Sheriff's Office who quite literally have been working this nonstop. Sometimes we say that, it's a little embellished. They have been taking turns sleeping so they can work this case both day and night. And I think that when you look at the progress here and you compare it to progress that may have occurred with something across the country, and consider that really evidence of phones and all of this hasn't even come back yet, it's nothing short of something to be proud of. But this is something that our entire community is frightened by, and I want everyone to know how important this is to us to make sure that these people are held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. So with that, any other questions?
Just one more question. Are investigators concerned that the brother could potentially be tampering with evidence as he conducts his own investigation? Because you're saying he's accessing
media, her iCloud account, I mean, you could be deleting things when you're accessing this stuff. Is there a concern there?
So no concern about tampering with evidence. The way it works is we have forensic examiners where people who think that they can erase it, you just don't erase it, right? We've got wonderful technology. Anybody who's an expert in this field knows that we have the ability to kind of piece things back together. So we feel incredibly comfortable with the evidence that we will be able to collect as it comes in. But at the same time, we still want to encourage people who know, look, these people are living lives, right? People who know about these individuals, who have seen things, who know things, we want them to step forward and provide whatever information they can.
There was one more person in the carjacking case, right? There was potentially Jordan, the one in the sweater, and then somebody, a second suspect. Can you tell us anything more about that person?
I wish I could tell you more about the other person that was inside the car that was driving that car. We just don't know at this time. That's going to kind of come together. But again, this is why we want the public to say, look, we think that we've identified probably the guy that got out. But the guy that's inside the car, we want any information about that as well.
So you're looking for the unidentified suspect and Gio right now?
Correct.
The incident report mentioned a witness who saw someone in the Acura wait in a friendly way, according to the incident report to Catherine, before the Acura started following. Based on that, do investigators believe that she knew the carjackers and she had a previous relationship?
I don't have that information. I haven't seen that information, and I don't know if she actually knew him or not. I doubt that they would wear a mask and do this and just like wave at him not wearing a mask. It doesn't make much sense, right? So I would have to kind of look at that, but I don't know if she knew them or not. But I do believe that as a part of this investigation, we'll find out if she actually had dealings with them or knew them. It's quite possible, right? I just don't know at this time.
And at this point, the husband is no longer a person of interest. We remain on the same.
Well, I never put him as a person of interest. I've said he and her brother, Lewis, are cooperating, but I'm incredibly skeptical of their level of cooperation, right? But I'm still identifying them as witnesses and people who are working with us. They've never been listed as a person of interest. They've never been listed as a suspect. But I think that the court of popular opinion has come to their own conclusions about what they know, what they don't know, and what their involvement is. But as far as the investigation goes, I have not identified them as a person of interest or suspect in this case.
So you say Jordanish didn't speak any English, you know where he's from?
Jordan is from Puerto Rico, we believe. We know that his crimes were in Puerto Rico. We know that he had connections back there, but where he was born, I'm not sure of right now. Likely Puerto Rico, but I don't know.
Can we get Soto's full name as well?
Yes. We're going to release it in the media pack. I don't have it right here in front of me. So with that, again, thank you. Any additional updates, we'll be happy to prepare that. And again, thank you for coming.